Okay, so I'm here in my facility for the moment trying to recreate the effect, and this is very close to what they had. If you'll notice, if I move around, I'm like a few feet away from this. I'm not actually affecting it at all. The reason is because my range extends to about here. That's where my range kind of ends. And if you'll look closely, you'll see the haze is very slowly moving, which is what we'll usually see when we get this kind of phenomenon. The video in question does not appear to be moving much at all, but look, I'm basically standing, like here's me, and here's where I'm kind of standing at. So this is pretty darn close, and I'm trying to not blind my camera as I'm moving through it because I have a light shining through to highlight the haze. This kind of thing, like you'll see it slowly flowing off the stage there, we typically try to avoid in most buildings because this means poor circulation. I had to turn off quite a few fans and both AC systems in order to get this to work. And even then you can still see it slightly moving a little bit. Very difficult to get this, but it's very easy to get in older facilities that don't have nearly as good ventilation. This is not exactly the newest facility ever, but it has okay ventilation. But this kind of thing is very trippy. And see, if I walk straight through it, you can kind of see. I don't affect it a whole ton, but I'm walking right through it. You can see behind me is where I cause a little bit of the stuff, but you can kind of see how the air currents, it takes them a minute, and I have to be in the middle of the haze to really do a whole lot. But on the whole, the reason why it works the way that it does is when you have hardly any movement like that, like I just introduced a whole ton of movement, it's gonna take it a long time to settle back down. But there's tiny little masses of air, like little tiny chunks of air almost, that are just sitting there, and they will, and the haze or the smoke or whatever will sit on top of it, and it'll flow off to the sides of it, almost making it look like it's flowing off a 3D pebble or something. It's interesting to really look into the little tiny details of this haze, and for our particular facility, it tends to focus up on the ceiling and also down on the floor. And so to get it in the middle, we have to do a lot of fans to get it working. But I hope that was a bit of a clearer explanation, because you can see the haze only moves very, very slowly. When you have a camera that's kind of moving around like that guy's camera was, even very slowly moving haze can look still. So if I hold the camera steady, you can see that the haze is slowly moving, but if I move the camera, that same haze looks relatively still. So that's probably what was going on. The haze was most likely moving very slowly in the video, and he was just moving around fast enough that it looked like it was completely still. Although I have had moments happen once or twice where the haze was almost entirely still, and it was really, really trippy to see. But yeah, on the whole, this is something we typically avoid, but it does happen, and it is really cool to post it and see it every once in a while. Hope this helped.